It's Clobberin time!
Bum, 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 bum.
Clobberonimo!
No bloody A, B, C, or D.
Get those nerds! 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 What?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's Monday, I guess, right? I guess, maybe, sort of, kind of, maybe a little bit, maybe kind of, sort of. Hello, my friends, and welcome to Monday Night Mark C. Comics Talk. Let's see if we can get into gear here. I had to stop using my for the Monday night theme, which I'd used for about over 2 years, until somehow, some way, YouTube got around to going after me over it. Barely, just like a little bitty tiny piece of the jingle. It's got me in trouble twice already. My great buddy Stone Loki went all that trouble making it for me. I wonder how I'll get in trouble for just saying it like that. Go or ram it. Man, it bums me out. I like that thing. Freaking, what a bunch of skinflint jackasses. Man, that it's not YouTube. It's the idiots who did the strike, I guess. But for them to even bother, it's so stupid. I guess it's an algorithm thing. I don't know. But anyway, hello, my good friends. Welcome to Monday Night Mark C. Clobberin. Mark C. Clobberin Comics Talk. On Clobberin Times, I should say. Let's see, number 540 on YouTube for the past couple of years. But number 1,240 overall. In about a week or 2 weeks, it'll be a couple of weeks. It'll make it 14 years I've been doing this. And it is... again, a big shout out to what a great time it was a week ago, Monday night, celebrating our dear departed buddy Mark C, whom we miss very much. And great guest, of course, the extraordinary Mexican Iron Man, and our good buddy, the great Doomcock, who joined me last week to it's just hard to believe it's 2 years. It's all. But we will continue to speak of comics in his name. Indeed. Thank you, everybody, for putting that in there. Indeed. So, let's see here. I didn't really make up a topic for tonight. We'll do show notes such as they are, because the show notes are better than the topic right now. And then we'll do some shout outs. Let's see here. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a busy stream schedule on other channels this week. Tomorrow, I'll be on not my own channel, but 3 other channels at a very special time, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. 5:30. 4:30 Central, 5:30 p.m. Let me get that right, Eastern. I am honored to be going on my good buddy J-Man's channel, my partner in crime on Earth B. I'll be on there. I'm proud to tell you, to announce that I'm going to be on with him and the great Sean. We're going to talk about, Captain Marvel and Shazam comics. I'm not exactly, if you're in the chat, J-Man, if you can, are we going to just review a comic, which is great? Or are we going to talk about other stuff, or just all things big red cheese, whatever you want to talk about, of course. It's fine. You just let me know in specifics what we're talking about. That is, again, That is 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, we're going to review, okay, and General Talk. Gotcha. Review Shazam #1 from 1973, when the character was revived at DC after he'd been sabotaged and stolen by National DC after they humiliated Fawcett Publications 20 years previously. So, yes, Shazam #1 from 1973. I cannot wait to do that. That's going to be so much fun. I always love hanging out with J-Man and Sean, so that's going to be a great time. Then at 6 Central, I'll be over there on Midnight's Edge After Dark, my good buddy Tom's show. That will be a lot of fun for the usual pop culture roundup stuff over there. Well, the pop culture roundup's actually the name of Doomcocks. So this is just a different show that doesn't necessarily do roundup, but it does talk about pop culture. And then at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'm proud to be going on as a guest on my good buddy Nick Weiser's show for his great regular Tuesday night show with Toxic Tuesday, talking about one of my favorite movies, 48 Hours, with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. I love that movie. And so when I heard they were doing that one, all I said was, whoa, cool. And he said, you want to come on? I said, well, I don't go on often on the Toxic guys, but when I do, it's going to, it's for a movie that I love. And, I appreciate the great Nick Weiser for that, because he knows I love that movie. So let me say some shout outs. As always, we start out with our great wrenches. We really appreciate whether they're here or not, they get the shout. The great Eric K., the Bronze Wrencher. Hey, buddy, I hope you're doing well out there, bro. And, of course, to the puppy, Kirby. The Vindicator Wrench of the North, the great Chris Persia. Hey, buddy, I hope you're doing great. He says, listening in on the phone tonight. Migraine kicked in, so I'm just going to listen in as always. Hey, that's fine, buddy. I hope you feel better. Just take it easy. Kick back, man. Kick back and have a great one, man. The great D. Bud Martin. Hey, buddy. Wrench of Iron. Always good to see you. Thank you for being here, bud. Lord Thoth, the god of wrenches. And, of course, his wonderful consort, Lady Thoth. Avon lives and long live the Legion, and their pupper as well. Lancelot. The aforementioned, who is here right now, the great, my great friend from Earth B, the Wrench Without Fear, J-Man. Hungry Boy, master of the Clobberin, artist is supreme, and painter of the cover of Science Fiction Tales by R.M. Briggs. Kal-El Buddy, the great Super Wrench, wielder of Zinch Mjolnir, Maddie's daddy, that old rascal Fanty outsidey. And let's see whom else is up in here tonight. Of course, John Rupus Shaggy. What's up, John Rupus? What's up, Reggie? Good to see you. Wagner, what's up, my friend? Hey there. Stuart Mitchell, you old space dog. Good to see you there. Death Ray all out attack. Yes, indeed. Hello. Let me see. Who else? JT Kirk, what's up, bud? So far, that's it. Let's see. I'll probably be lurking most of the night, says JT. Just found out a short while ago that one of my best friends passed away. Oh, man. Same age as me at 36. Your streams always cheer me up. Well, thank you, JT. 36. My daughter just a couple of weeks ago turned 36. My son, on Shatner's birthday, which is Wednesday, he turns 34. So you were the age of my oldest. And to lose one that young, it's just, I'm at the age, and I was thinking about this a lot just today, because I'm at that age where you can't almost can't go a week or two without hearing about someone that you knew that you hadn't seen in a long time, or someone that someone else knew that's a friend of yours or whatever had passed away, or they just passed. It seems like when the older you get, you hear that more and more often, even if it's not always your family or your friend, a friend of a friend, a family member of someone you know, or in this case, yours. That's just too young there. I am so sorry about your friend. I've lost some friends in my life, and I know what it means, and I know what it feels, man. And so sorry, everybody. So sorry, JT, because you're a valued member of this crew here. We really appreciate you, man, and you're a good friend of the show. So and again, terribly sorry about that, buddy. It's just there's a line in a movie. I've seemed to reach this age where life starts taking away more than it does giving. You know, it's just I don't know. So just cherish it, folks. I know I think about that kind of stuff a lot. Cherish it because you know. I mean, again, our great buddy Mark C. We talked about this a little bit last week. No one expected. I mean, you know, it's. I'm not saying it's easier when you expect it. You know, and we're not going to go down that road anyway. But it's not easier when you expect it, but you still expect it. I mean, it's still maybe that's tougher, or maybe that's not. Maybe there's no answer. There's no clear answer either way. Oh man, let's just talk some. You know, I don't even know what comics to talk necessarily. I don't even know which comics to talk. Tomorrow night, I'm going to look forward to talking some Shazam, some Captain Marvel. I hear the movie did not do very well this weekend. I think people are burned out on superhero films. It's starting to seem like. I don't know. Oh, was it JT? Oh, when she gets, Mark's got to get that comic book to her. I've sent it to Mark to send to her. If there's some, you know, it's called Debt of Honor. If that's what you're thinking of, and I want her to read it soon. I hope she will read it soon. That'll be a monumental occasion getting her to read a comic book. But it's a Star Trek one, so she might do it. She has some comics. She actually owns some Star Trek comics now. So I don't know. The Captain Marvel movie to me, I'm sorry, it's not Captain Marvel, although it gets called that once. Yes, the highlight of that movie is when Michael Gray from the old show, and this is not too spoilery since I don't care if you go see it or not, pops up in his old shirt. Kay Burns. Hello there, Kay Burns. Welcome. I don't think I've seen you here before. Always great to have someone new pop in. It's good to see you. But like I always try to be even-handed about this. The movie does not seem to have done well over the weekend. So it's going to be probably not end up not doing well. Because it's about to get destroyed by John Wick in every sense of the word, just about. They didn't seem to market it too well, seems to me. But you know, but I do tell people, if you like the first one, you'll probably like this one. Fair enough, I guess. It's about the best thing I can say about it. It's relatively forgettable, in my opinion. It's just sort of there. But then again, you know what a hard nose I am about the character of Captain Marvel. I don't. You know, that's not. I don't. Drives me crazy to have to call him Shazam. For people to know what I'm talking about, because it drives me nuts. I don't know what. I mean, did the first one do that well that it even? I guess it did. I mean, I don't know, but this one won't. This one's going to lose money, in my estimation. In my opinion, that's my prediction that it's going to lose. It's going to lose money, but you know, whatever. All right, Jay, man, take it easy, buddy. Have a great night. I cannot wait. Everyone, remember again, 5:30, 5:30 Eastern time. I'll be on with the great J Man. Please, of course, J Man, put your channel in there, your link in there. Hanging with him and Sean, talking about Shazam #1 from 1973. We'll review that comic, and then we'll talk some Big Red Cheese. We will talk about the great Captain Marvel, of course. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that, buddy. Always. But and I talked a good bit about him Wednesday night. He's a character that I've always loved. I can, of course, I've talked about how Captain Marvel actually outsold Superman at some points throughout the course of the Golden Age in the 40s, maybe into the 50s. Well, it didn't last to the 50s too much, but he really had his career cut short. And it just goes to show you the pettiness of big comic book companies, national periodical publications. It was a very cutthroat business, of course. Because the similarities are not that glaring between Superman. Hey, Lord Thoth, what's up, buddy? Avon lives, long live the Legion, bro. Hope you and the missus are doing well, and the doggy. When you get around, I always get irritated when they try to make. Look, I love Superman the most, but I do love Captain Marvel. If anyone who understands and knows the characters knows that the similarities are not that deep, aside from a similar power set, and of course, this was the lightning crap came later, as far as being able to throw lightning and stuff with the sparkle fingers garbage. So their powers were very similar, except Superman had powers that Captain Marvel did not. Hey, Captain Infinity and beyond. You exist, Captain Infinity, but do you exist? You're here, but you're not here. Good to see you. So, Superman and Captain Marvel, that rivalry was understandable because there were two fairly big companies. Yeah, LT, I cannot. I'm the same way. Hate the damn lightning. It pisses me off. Screw that crap. I don't even like the way he was using it in Kingdom Come. But anyway, so these two characters, the characters of Superman and Captain Marvel they will forever be rivals because of the lawsuit. Because of the lawsuit. In other words, not for any good reason. Not for any good reason. Which is a shame. Litigation Comics. Bah, bah, bah. And there's some. Look, I'll always love Superman just a tiny bit more, but Captain Marvel, look, the powers are similar, one's based on magic. The other's based, on pseudoscience. So there's a reason why Captain Marvel comics outsold Superman at times. Sometimes they were just better. Yeah, Hungry Boy. Lawsuit pisses me off because of how fundamentally different the characters are. They're very different. As a kid, you could kind of see the appeal of Captain Marvel because think about, kids love Superman, but the kid in you sees a character when all you have to do is say a magic word and you can basically turn into the equivalent of Superman. That appeals is extraordinary. What kid doesn't love that? So that was a big step in how, what made this character so popular. National, who became DC, was very petty, in my opinion. Hey, retro nerd girl, lovely girl, what's up? Oh, well, thank you so much. Right. It's great to see you. Hey, Dave, what's up, buddy? Had a great time hanging out with you last night in retro. It's always good to see you. But, DC did not have to do that. Like I said, Superman was still the big kahuna, but there were times when Captain Marvel outsold Superman. There was a place for both of them. Yes, only one of them is a captain. That's right. But Cap, the big red cheese, the Fawcett line, I just love them. I love the Marvel family. They were there's such a great charm to those comics that it's just amazing. They were extraordinary. But Clobby will clobber me for saying Savannah was a goober bad guy. He was a goober. I like Mr. Mind. Mr. Mind is actually my favorite Captain Marvel villain. I don't know about you, Hunger Boy. Mr. Mind is smarter than Savannah, of course. Fight me. And it's Captain Yahtzee, of course. But I guess National, aka DC, they just had too much firepower behind them right there. And in 1953, it's just amazing. And I talk about this all. I know this is the millionth time I probably talked about it, but I can't go into all the minutia and details of the case because it's just so dense, and it would take it gets into like really really complicated stuff. Suffice it to say, National strangled Fawcett out of business. And the Marvel books were the biggest sellers for Fawcett, but there were other comics as well. And around in 53, that was gone. And again, for our British friends, Captain Marvel was huge worldwide, just as Superman was. And Captain Marvel was so popular over in the UK. Claude Selling, hey there. It was so popular in the UK that they didn't want to stop selling comics, but they weren't getting any more Captain Marvel comics. So a guy named, I forget the exact name of the company, but the artist named Mick Angelo was hired to eventually come out with a comic called Marvel Man for our British friends over there. Something, we didn't get over here at the time. And Marvel Man was basically he was the fill-in for Captain Marvel. And he was very, very similar. Savannah became Gargunza. Captain Marvel Jr. became Kid Miracle Man. There was Young Miracle Man, there was Miracle Girl, and there was Miracle this and Miracle. It was just not Miracle. I keep saying Miracle. Marvel Dog and Marvel Kid Marvel Man. Miracle was what they had to call it later. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So but anyway, that's neither here nor there anyway, because in 1973, and we'll be talking about this more on J-Man's show tomorrow night, 1973, 20 years later, the Marvel family makes a return. Because in the 60s, that company that brought back the robot Captain Marvel. Oh, man, what's up, Steve? Sick baby again? Oh, baby sick. I'm sorry, buddy. Keely Chow, roll tide. That robot Captain Marvel, it didn't last very long, and then Marvel got ended up with using the name. So we had to call the comic Shazam on the title. Was a shame. But that was all. Interestingly enough, they were able to call him Captain Marvel on the cover of the first issue. As you can see here, the 1973 #1 issue of With One Magic Word, Shazam. The original Captain Marvel. Marvel didn't like that, by the way, if you're wondering. Exactly, LT. He will always be Captain Marvel to me. Yes. Yes. So it's almost, look, it's amazing because DC now has the rights, of course, to make a Shazam comic with Captain Marvel in it. And what do? They put Superman on the freaking cover. It's just weird. Kind of a weird thing, don't you think? But I don't know. I guess they're doomed forever to fight, and yet they're friends. They're friends in comics, as they should be. But they've had some knockdown dragouts. As a kid, I was confused by calling the character Shazam. Yeah. I call him Captain Marvel, and again, and when you do, you have to clarify it sometimes, but I'm sorry, that's what he is. He's Captain Marvel. And he can't get any respect. What is it? Is this character cursed? Russian Nerd Girl, they fight. Well, a trope in comic books that we as kids have kind of always kind of encouraged is that when superheroes, usually when they first meet, they fight and then they become friends. Obviously, their fight started in court in 1953, and then you had. So that's what I mean by fighting. But then later there were some comics where they fight because you just kind of as a kid and these guys, the people who make comic books know that kids like fights. Obviously you want to see you want superheroes to fight supervillains, but sometimes you want to see it's a childish thing that they understand. You want to see the superheroes fight, even though you want them to be friends later. So it's just like the old saying, who do you think's stronger, Thor or the Hulk? Who do you think's stronger, Superman or Captain Marvel? Who do you think, it's kids, they cater to the kids. So yes, it's almost a symbolic thing since these two characters fought in court and then and they weren't, that's the thing, they're wonderful characters that should never been pitted against each other, but every now and then, they would have a fight. They fought, there was a whole comic called Superman versus Shazam. Yes, because they couldn't call him Captain Marvel on the cover, which is a scene from it right here, where they had a big knockdown drag out, which was a wonderful comic. And then, there always seemed to be, it's like look at it as sensationalism, They figure, hey, put Superman and Captain Marvel fighting on the cover. That's pure gold. But they're both heroes, and they're both on the same side. There was a great episode of the Justice League cartoon where they had a big fight. But traditionally, they're not supposed to be fighting all the time. So. Where's that? I was trying to find another picture I had, but I took it down. Where are you? I can't keep track of all my pictures. No, well. Yeah, there you go. So they have a tendency to slug it out a little bit every now and then, as you can see there. Stuart, that's a good point. They existed, but they never existed. Exactly. They existed, but they never existed. Hey, Rancor Steve, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, sir. Welcome to Clobberin Times. Yes, Death Ray. Yeah, Spidey and the Torch were more. They more like argued all the time, and they played jokes on each other. They never really slugged it out that much. They were friends, but they were a great friendship in comics. Hey, Admiral Teague, what's up? And Snuggy Jr. Hey there, good to see you, my friends. But Johnny and Peter Parker, they were just adversarial, and they were friends who argued and bickered and messed with each other. Captain Marvel and Superman were, of course, very straight laced. And when they would fight, it was all sensationalism, there's always some excuse for it, and they always ended up teaming up in the end and helping each other. Dave. Well, yeah, of course. Dave, look, that's a classic, Dave. Batman punching Guy Gardner he did it on the animated series. Yes, Brave and the Bold animated series. He originally did it in Justice League International #1, of course. So that was on the animated series. It was almost like it was an homage to that. It is classic stuff, though. Yeah. For some reason, well, look, superhero comics are for kids, no matter what anyone says. That's what they were for. And kids do like that. We like to see superheroes have battles. We always go, who can beat whom and all that kind of silly stuff. But eventually we want them to team up and be friends and fight the bad guys. So it's kind of a kid thing. What can you do? That said, at this time, when I was seeing these two comic books right here in particular, it was, oh man, I'm like at this point maybe like 11, 12 years old, whatever, when these came out. I knew nothing about the legal battles between National, aka DC, and Fawcett Comics. So I just saw that as, whoa, Superman and Captain Marvel are fighting because they have similar powers. Who would win? Oh my god, Although Captain Marvel is powered by magic, and Superman has a weakness to magic, as many of you may know. Shaggy, hey Snuggy, it's good to see you there. Hungry Boy says, question for Clobberin Times. Some classic cheeses came out in a bright red wax. Was that why he was called the Big Red Cheese? I don't know. I'd have to ask CC Beck or Otto Binder on that one, but that's a good question. All I know is the Big Red Cheese is what Savannah used to call him. I'm sure, as you know. I like this cover here. This is it. The encounter you've been waiting for. The Big Red Cheese meets the Big Red S. So that's a good question. I'm not sure there, HB. I don't know what. I just remember from the early day. Was it Savant? They always used to call him the Big Red Cheese. Now, my question to you all. Oh yeah, there was Hill and there's Fat. In fact, maybe I'll put it in a poll. Let me put this question in a poll, and then you guys can answer it, just for the hail of it. Okay, so I'm going to type out a question for the poll. Oops. Hang on. Scintillating radio, ladies and gentlemen. All right. This I would like to know. Okay, here we go. All right. Larry, are you here? Are you here? Do you exist? All right, there we go. So see what you think of that. I'd like to get an answer on that one. Larry, what is up, buddy? Because look at these. I mean, this is, I don't get a vote in this thing. Because, and I would have to. I think I know which one I prefer, but it's so close. I love both of them. I love them both. The characters and the costumes. So I'll let that run for a minute. Because one of the things that kids love about superheroes, let's face it, are the costumes. You know? And this is a toughie. This is a toughie because we all, Superman might have the greatest costume of them all, but man, Captain Marvel's pretty close. And especially the iterations right here. With art by Rich Buckler on one side and Ernie Chua on the other. Rich Buckler, Dick Giordano on the right cover, which was all new collector's edition, which was, of course, a big tabloid edition, Superman versus Shazam. The Man of Steel against the world's mightiest mortal. A 72-page super action novel when Earths collide. By the way, that one is, of course, it's got Supergirl and Mary Marvel on the cover, as you can see. This one was not most of these tabloids were reprints, but this wasn't. It was a new story. And again, Justice League number 137, which was a very early clashing of, I think it predates, if I'm not mistaken, this tabloid right here. Hey, Oliver Belamonte, what is up, my friend? Good to see you. He said Superman starts out as a flawless hero who's incorruptible, confident, and upright. But when reading the comics, Superman starts with a flaw. Superman may be flawless, but he's not perfect. No, he's not. He's never been perfect. Uh-oh. Hope I didn't stump anybody. I can't decide. They're both 10 out of 10. It's going to be tough to make that decision, isn't it? I like the sash and Spanish cavalry cape held on with the rope. Yes. Cap's costume's fantastic, though, really. I mean, it's just well, this is the toughest question I've ever asked, I bet you. So how many? Only 11 votes so far, and it's neck and neck with Superman at 55%, giving 45% to Captain Marvel. It's going to be a tough race, folks. We're going to let it run for the night and see. I don't get a vote, and I'm almost glad I don't. But I probably have to go with Soups. As you can see, Great Hera, that red kryptonite has turned Superman into a super killer. As you can see, this is on Earth 2. Here's the thing about this. Everybody, it's Earth 2, but is it also Earth S, where Shazam lived, but Superman looks like he's Earth 1 Superman. On this cover, you can clearly see they've got the Earth 1 Flash and Green Lantern. Not sure about Wonder Woman, probably Earth 1, but then, so Soups is Earth 1. Then you got Earth 2 Batman, Earth 2 Robin, and the Marvels. So where the hell are they? Are they on Earth S? I haven't read that story in so long, I would have to find out. Where do you think they are, folks? Earth S? I need to read that and find out. I'll probably read it. Because I haven't read that comic and I'm going to speculate that it was during the annual JLA JSA crossover, and that the interior art is by Dick Dillon. Spider-Man has the best costume for Maddie's daddy. Well, I love Spidey's costume. So no question about it. Cap is a ripoff of Superman, and ironically, Superman ripped off flying from Cap. Yeah. Well, look, I say it all the time, and it goes all the way. Marvel see, Marvel do. DC see, DC do. They rip each other. Marvel's not even involved in this case, but I'm just saying, not just at that time. At that time, there were a lot of big companies. Marvel wasn't even really a thing yet. They were timely, but Fawcett was big and National was big, and those companies ripped each other off. There's no question about it, all the time. It was a cutthroat business. Comics have always been a cutthroat business. So you notice I didn't do the question, who would win in the fight? Because that's just, we're way too old for that. Although you have to say that even though they slug it out, Cap always has the advantage because Superman is vulnerable to magic. And which is, you know what? When you really think about it, that's a vulnerability that I never really thought Superman needed. I mean, isn't everyone vulnerable to magic, really? I mean, if someone's using magic on you, why does it have to be especially bad for Superman, but not anybody else? I mean, if someone uses a magic lightning bolt on you, should hurt it'll mess anybody up. Maddie Zaddy says, who would win in the fight depends upon the preference of the writer. Yeah, that's true, too. They should never win. Neither should ever win. And they really, well, they sort of did. Superman finds a way to outwit him because he's, in the Superman films and comics, the Man of Steel is focused on his immeasurable physicality and prowess. The fight scenes are engaging to watch, but it can't be the only challenge for Superman, says Oliver Belamonte. Oliver agreed. Well, if he can't use magic, who would win? I mean, he's by fault, it's still, you're right. If he can't use magic, meaning lightning, I guess, I don't know. They're very equally matched. But I think Supes might be a little bit stronger. I think Superman should be a little bit stronger. The Silver Age Superman, I don't know. Probably a little bit stronger. Because he was pretty dang powerful. And not because he won in court. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I would. Did anybody even see the movie? Am I still the only one that's seen it? It's been this weekend, I bet. And is anybody going? I wonder if any of you are even bothering to go see Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I think I doubt it. If it's overcast. Yeah, all that stuff about the sun, though. I mean, that's why. Look, I understand he gets his power from the yellow sun, but it's people have gone overboard with the yellow sun aspect of it, whereas his powers are just there, and the rays of the sun, don't disappear because it's overcast. I mean, because hey, you had to pay me at least $500 to go see that thing. Wow. Oh my goodness, $500. That would be, man. I guess I'd go see it again for that much too. Okay. What's up, buddy? What's up? Hope you're doing well, bud. $500. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like a solar battery that soaked up a bunch of solar energy and stuff, but you can't just you can't just put on an umbrella, hold up an umbrella and the power diminish or anything like that. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. Anyway, but of course, Captain Marvel, it comes strictly from magic. All you gotta do is say Shazam. Now, I remember when we started seeing all these. You remember in the early, I think early mid '90s, when I don't know why I'm even thinking of this, but when I had a buddy of mine, we came up. I came up with a story for a comic, and then a friend of mine that was going to draw it. We were going to do an Elseworlds book, and my premise was that instead of Fawcett City, the Wizard ended up in Gotham City. And on the night that Bruce Wayne's parents were killed, young Bruce Wayne ran. He went running from the scene in anger and ended up in the subway on the train with the old Wizard. And of course, I called the story with one magic word. And Bruce Wayne would be Captain Marvel instead of Billy Batson. It was a story that we worked on for a little while and then got busy doing other things. This is the mid 90s. Just for, one of those Elseworlds type stories. And I've always wondered what I would have done with that story. But it wasn't, it was inspired by Captain Marvel. And it's just how would that be if Bruce Wayne, of course, would be pretty serious and it would be a big mistake. And that's when those Elseworlds were really coming into, and they were coming up with some all kind of different crazy ideas for these stories. But I guess what I've been saying a lot is this is probably the most tragically cursed character in all of comics, meaning Captain Marvel, if you think about it. Other characters have had bad runs and good runs, bad art, good art, bad stories, good stories, naturally. But for the most part, they've been unencumbered in terms allowed to quote exist. When he not only had 20 years but that 20 years that was deprived from 1953 to 1973, that this character, Captain Marvel, was deprived of, was crucial, in my opinion. He lost something. Because, when DC brings him back, there was still some pretty good popularity there. Because, for God's sake, he was popular enough to get a TV show made. Which is not nothing, as the kid would say. But he's so cursed because, by the time this comic book came out here, and this one here, which we'll be reviewing tomorrow night on J-Man's channel. Hey, Skogly Jatoon, hello there. He lost a 20-year chunk of his life, and this book was relegated to the TV, to kind of a, well, the TV show was a few years later, of course, but it was related to, it had its own little corner of DC, but he wasn't even on DC's regular Earth. He was on Earth S, as they called it. I mean, sales were okay, but he didn't have, I don't know, a lot of kids who read the comics, he had the new wave of kids reading the comics didn't know who he was. Largo's Lair, hey there. Good to see you. Welcome. So that 20-year chunk, again, when he brought him back, yes, this comic did okay, and the TV show was very popular. With Michael Gray and Jackson Bostwick and John Davey and Les Tremayne. But even that had such a kind of a limited lifespan. There was also a Filmation Shazam cartoon, which I enjoy. I'd like to get that. You can't find that anywhere. I wish someone would put those out. Still, it was kind of a, I don't know. It was kind of a, not a niche or anything, but it never picked up for Captain Marvel. After that, after this series died, that animated series didn't last that long. The TV show was gone. He would pop up in comics here and there as guest shots. Then into in the late 80s into the early 90s, he got that Power of Shazam hardcover done by Jerry Ordway, which was really nice. Great art, anyway. Then he would get a miniseries here and there, a series that lasted for a little while, but nothing was ever sustainable. I don't know why exactly. Maybe he was Death Ray. You remember the cartoon, eh? Cool. Good to see you there, by the way, Death Ray. Thanks for being here. The Big Red Cheese was much more fun and interesting than the Kansas Farm Boy. I love them both, buddy, but I hear you. So, my point is, the character never got any traction like Superman. Again, in the 40s, when he was this big competition, I guess and he was outselling him on many occasions. I guess the lawsuit destroyed the character. DC won that war that they started, by the way. Agreed, Manny's daddy. And so they kept doing everything they could to bring him back. And it's not like he's been missing, but he never got any traction on the high level that a character like that deserves, in my opinion. Hi, Larry. Larry says, I never saw Shazam growing up. I have no connection to him. Well, wow. Okay. I understand. A lot of people didn't. So he's cursed because that 20-year gap destroyed him. If that character had been allowed to continue and even evolve in a sense, it would have been I don't know. Of course, Fawcett would have had to last, and who knows what would have happened. I guess at some point there was only going to be the two companies. There were other ones, don't get me wrong, but you know what I'm saying, I think. Oliver Belamonte says the Justice League Unlimited episode Clash. Yeah, I've watched that recently. Like Captain Marvel's humble Superman. Captain Marvel was telling Superman that a man can be all-powerful, morally perfect, but no man is above learning a new lesson. That was a great episode. But it's almost like this cover. They were mocking him, saying, "Look, we're going to let you have a comic now because maybe we can make some money on it. I'm on your cover, but I'm not going to be inside the comic book." So there. But I don't want to interpret it that way because it's not Superman's fault. The great character is Superman's fault. It's the legal, machinations of national periodical publications that really kind of humbled and destroyed this character. Who knows what would have happened? I mean, if Fawcett, even if Fawcett eventually let the characters go somewhere else, what a shame. And so much so that, like I said, he pops up every now and then. Then finally, in the ultimate disgrace, he pops up in the Screw 52 really screw him over bad. And yet he perseveres, and eventually, for the first time since the early 1940s, he makes it back to movie screens in a movie, not a sequel, not a movie serial this time, but a national movie. A couple years back for the first one. And it's so at this point, yes, it's called Shazam we understand why they're calling it that. It's I'm talking about the first movie right now, by the way. And has more to do with the Screw 52 version than his natural roots as a character, unfortunately. So it's too much for me as a fan. At that point, back a few years ago, when I went back to watch the movie at the theater, I watched it. The movie was cute enough. It wasn't offensive. It didn't. Hell, it was less offensive than the shitty Screw 52 comic, what they did to him on that one. But I just wasn't, as the kids say, I wasn't feeling it. I'd be like, yeah, it's kind of okay, but didn't have the feel of the character that I wanted. And it was too much. He's too much of a man child when he's in the Captain Marvel costume. He's got lightning powers. And again, you're not calling him Captain Marvel, then you're not doing me any favors. It did maintain a lighthearted feel to it, and I'm talking about the first movie. And the movie, I guess, did well enough to warrant a second film, I guess. Could be wrong here. Dave J. Sound, what's up, buddy? Yeah, Largo's there. I like the look of that book. It was a beautiful looking book. I have it. The hardcover, The Power of Shazam. He did some things in the story I didn't like as much. This is me. Yeah, I mean, but it was great art, though. Yeah. So here you have. I guess it did well enough that we're going to go ahead and make a second movie. I don't know who was clamoring for a second Shazam movie. I don't even think it was terrible. I needed some days to sleep on it, and to think about it. Not like I recommended or anything, but I think it's about my reaction is similar to my reaction to the first movie. Except there's one scene in there that I really loved because it was just a throwback cameo thing that was kind of fun. But man, I just can't get excited about it. There's one. Should I? You know what? I'm going to do a spoiler thing here. And the reason why I'm going to do the spoiler thing is because this is something they're never going to make another one of these, folks. They're not making another one of these. And I don't think they're going to follow up on anything. Nevertheless, and this here's not spoiler. I said Michael Gray, who played Billy Batson on the old TV show, wearing his red shirt and everything, actually says the words Captain Marvel. You're the greatest Captain Marvel, or whatever he yells at him. I was not sure I heard that because you ever have you ever been in a movie where you're not really like super into it, you just sort of and you ever fade out and we're sitting there and maybe you haven't grabbed a handful of popcorn in a while and maybe you hadn't taken a sip of your cherry Coke or your candy and you're watching a superhero movie like a Marvel or now a DC one and you go yeah. I'm not saying you're falling asleep, but I'm saying you kind of maybe a little nod, then something loud will happen. You go, well, I was kind of, for some reason, right at that precise moment, I was like, and then I sort of kind of pepped up. My eyes weren't closed, and I said, "Oh, that's." And then we get to see that it's. I'm sort of snapped back into the real world, and it's Michael Gray in that red shirt that he wore on the show, and he says, "You're the greatest, Captain Marvel," and Captain Marvel gives him a high five or whatever it is, from a distance, by the way. So I couldn't believe what I heard. I'd imagined it. I was like, man, I must have been out of it. Did he say what I think he said? No, because I wasn't as focused as I sometimes can be, as anyone can be. Once in a while, you drift. You drift sometimes. I guess maybe, or maybe you don't. I mean, I'm not projecting. Maybe you don't. I don't know. So I thought it drifted for a second, but then I got no. He didn't say that, did he? So I was a little agitated at myself. The one time I wish I was paying close attention, because this is a good bit into the movie when everything's just chaos and you're kind of like, seen all this before. Quite frankly, yeah, it got monotonous. But I was like, no, did he say that? I was kind of, yeah, I think he said that. But anyway, I was still on the fence until the other night when I came and talked about it. And J-Man, who had went to see the film earlier, he said, no, he said that. And he's, unlike me, I'm an old man with a crappy memory. J-Man is an astute young man, and I trust his crisp and powerful memory. So he said it, but that's not the part that's not even spoilery. It's just talking about, it has nothing to do with the plot or anything like that. And neither does the next thing I'm going to so-called spoiler. It would be nice to see the magical side of DC done right. Maybe Shazam juxtapose Zatanna or Dr. Fate. Well, hey. They connected the 70s show with movie. Interesting. Huh? So, Jesus. So here we go with the there's a scene for those of you who remember the first film, and it wasn't all that memorable, to be honest with you. It was all right. Like I said, it's not enough it's not my Captain Marvel, the Marvel family, from me. And no, I'm not going to spoiler the other two cameos. This is not really a cameo. It was weird. This is one of the weirdest after. I'm going to talk about the very after credit scene, the very last one after all the credits. So it's not spoilery, though, I promise. I mean, it is, but it isn't. I mean, it exists, but it doesn't. But it says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've been warned about a spoiler. Now, at the end of the first film, if you've seen that, we get a scene at I guess it was all the way after the end credits, maybe, where Mark Strong, who played Dr. Savannah, great actor, He played Dr. Savannah in the first film. Dr. Thaddeus Bowdog Savannah. I like doing his voice like that, like doing the cartoons. So it gets to a what does it get to? It gets to the last scene, and Dr. Savannah is in a jail cell, and we notice he's talking to, wait for it, a worm. And what happens? It's Mr. Mind. If you're a Captain Marvel fan, I don't have to tell you who Mr. Mind is, but you might not be. Let me find a picture of Mr. Mind just for the fun of it. Well, I bet you can't Google that easy either. Probably have to what the flag? I bet in order to Google it, you got to make specify like Mr. Mind PC. That'll work. All right. So here we go. Present. All right, here we go. So, for those who don't know, those not in the know of Captain Marvel lore, Mr. Mind, a little worm guy with a little voice box thingy, right? So, at the end of the first movie, one of the things that tickled me was the ending where Mr. Mind shows up in Dr. Savannah's cell at the end of the first Shazam movie. And he talked with this little box thingy like that. And he looked like this. Well, not exactly like this, but you know what I mean. In fact, I might have a picture from the movie here. Yeah, there's a picture of him from the movies. So we have this scene where Mr. Mind pops up and he's an a-hole. And in Savannah's cell. And again, if you're a Captain Marvel fan, you know, you're going, whoa, that's so cool. So I got a kick out of it, though. Well, what was weird, and again, bear in mind, right now I'm talking about the first movie. So fast forward to 2023, the new film, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And what happens? After the end credit scene, spoiler. I mean, at the very end, I'm not going to tell you about the mid credit scene, but the very, very end, back to a cell again. Looks familiar to the sort of familiar if you've seen the last one. And when we see Savannah, I don't think that was Mark Strong this time. He didn't look like it. Maybe I don't know. Just something with his glasses. He's kind of a not like a shrimpy little guy like the real Savannah should be, but he looks pretty messed up. So I don't know. If that was the same actor like Mark Strong. But what I do know is we get another scene that's exactly like the end scene of the last one, where Mr. Mind shows up and he's prattling on about some kind of crap. But I'm kind of like, this is weird. I mean, why wouldn't you retread that scene again when we thought the next movie was going to be about him? So they kicked the can down again, and now we know that this kid, Captain Marvel brain, is Captain Marvel's enemies. and we're never going to see him fight him. We're never going to see Mr. Mind. Well, here's my problem here, folks. Why in the crap was this movie not about Mr. Mind? Why do we have to have the freaking Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu and their little girl, these daughters of the gods crap? Your story was dumb. Your story was a bad idea. You set up. Did they forget their own Goram setup from the last movie? You set it up perfect with a perfect Captain Marvel villain, Mr. Mind. He would have used the Monster Society of Evil. Granted, your own 2023 take on that, with my God, whatever that would be, but why not? I'd rather see that than Helen Mirren. Again, nothing wrong with Helen Mirren and everything, but her stupid. So basically, what I'm saying is this movie's villains are weak. It's not what I want to see fighting Captain Marvel. I know he's not really Captain Marvel, you know what I mean, but he's dressed sort of like him. Make it, I don't know, man. Make it to do with the freaking. How about break one Captain Marvel villain? Like at least the first movie had an excuse for a Captain Marvel villain. Look at all these Captain Marvel villains right here. How about the Monster Society of Evil, for God's sake? Why? Why would you do this? I don't get it. But I know I'm not put on this. Get it, Mr. Batten. I know. So it's a big mistake. It was the kind of crappy. That's one of the problems with these superhero movies now. The villains aren't compelling. And if the villains aren't compelling, you're really hurting the hero. You got, all right, look at the villains. Look at the villain. Oh, yeah, I'm a brown coat from the old days there, Largo. Look at the villains of the past number of shitty MCU movies and others, even non-MCU superhero movies. All right, let's see here. Last shit, Kang, granted, is a great Marvel villain. They just didn't really handle him very well in Ant-Man, in Lame Brainia. They ruined. He's sort of an anti-hero sometimes, but not no more. And Wakanda Forever ruined. What was the last one? She-Hulk. No, you don't even count anyway. They ruined She-Hulk. Actually, ruined a character that wasn't ruined. Ruined the Abomination, for example. Loki TV show ruined Loki. All these Hawkeye TV show ruined Kingpin. All they do is ruin freaking villains. Bait and switch to get you to watch old school fans to watch. Well, there you go. A good point there, Dave. Cry havoc, and let's slip the dogs of war. Kang, yeah. Of course, that's General Chang that said that in the movie. So, it's just such a freaking waste, man. He could have. They set us up for the last movie for Mr. Mind, and then they even acted like, well, here we are again. When are we going to get out of here? This was from the. I understand. They forget. They clearly didn't forget because they kind of acted like they knew that they were supposed to be, have him ready for the next movie, and then they didn't do it. Dumbasses. So your villains are lame. It's just whatever, man. That's my biggest problem with the film is that the villains are not particularly interesting. At least Savannah was, played by Mark Strong. No, he's not the comic book version of Savannah, but at least he's a great actor. And he's a way better villain than even that version of him is way better than the Atlas sisters. But sucks. Well, doesn't matter too much. I just think that was a shame. What a missed opportunity. But of course, what do I know? Everyone loves that movie. I don't think it's doing that well though. I don't think For the Gods is doing that well. And no one here's seen it probably. Let's take a look and see at our poll. All right, how many votes we have in now? We have 34 votes. Oh my god. Oh wow. Oh wow. The question was simple, folks. Which costume do you prefer? Superman or Captain Marvel? And it was neck and neck at first, with only a few votes and only a few of the precincts reporting. And now 34 votes. 34% of the precincts have checked in. And it is Superman by a whopping 62 over the 38% for Captain Marvel. And by the way, no one who votes in this poll should, in other words, if some smarty pants votes in this poll, they better know who Captain Marvel is, not the fake ones. Darcipio says, I hope you are okay with our disagreement about Mort Drucker. I'm okay with any disagreement, Darth, and I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. I'm always okay with disagreements, dude. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I enjoy them. In fact, they're a lot of fun. As long as you're okay with the disagreement, I am. I mean, I wouldn't want you to have a problem with it either, because they're just disagreements. They're just matters of opinion. My only qualm with it is that I don't, you never want to be in. Since I'm a fan of Mort Drucker myself, I would never want to be in a position to disparage him. And on that tripwire list, I think he should have been somewhere on that list, and he wasn't even on it at all. Hey, could not be reached for further comment. Hey, Clobby, sounds like it would have worked better as Hoppy the Marvel Bunny movie. Yes. I wish it would have been a Hoppy and I also wish Uncle Dudley and the three Lieutenant Marvels were in there, and Mr. Tawny. I felt that the producers of Shazam 2 casted actress Lucy Liu as Calypso for one reason: to promote the film in Asian countries like China. Could be. Look, I love Lucy Liu. She's beautiful, so. All right, Maddie's daddy. Good to see you there, buddy. Thanks. Oh, yeah, Oliver, I don't know. That could be the case. I don't really have an opinion on that. I don't know. But, yeah, it could be. But, yes, could not be reached for further comment. I would like to have seen a cameo by... They actually did have a cameo of Mr. Tawny. He was a toy, wasn't he? If I remember right, and I think both movies had a toy, Mr. Tawny. But I wanted to see Uncle Dudley and the three Lieutenant Marvels. The Marvel family. What happens when you type up the Marvel family? There you go. There you go. Not that crappy version. Real deal version. We want to see Tall Billy and Fat Billy and Hillbilly. But they didn't ask me. I don't know. Like I said, I was glad they said. I'm glad they even said the word Captain Marvel once, and they let Michael Gray be the guy to say it, or the two words, I guess I should say. But man, right at the end, there's a scene. Is this spoilery? I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna get spoiler warnings, and then you can just decide whether you care. Another spoiler alert about something that pissed me off about the movie. So here we go. Spoiler alert. And it's not much of one, but I don't know. It'll, All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've been warned of spoilers. Okay. A scene at the very tail end of the movie where, because, throughout the film, they keep referring to the whole family. Nobody has a name, by the way. It's been a few years, incidentally, since between movies, according even to the chronology of the movie, right? And they constantly refer, because it's taking place in Philadelphia, the Philly fiasco is what they call them, which is ridiculous. Because it's a scene, like they get made fun of, but they save lives all the time. There's a scene where they save a bunch of people on this bridge and they get made fun of. Anyway. So they don't have names. They call them the Philly fiasco. And so naming has been, it was a joke in the first movie, and now it's a running joke in this movie about naming, naming the characters or what have you. And finally, old Shazam, who was really silly in the movie, to be honest. He's now a pimp. He's all dressed out. He's going to go enjoy the world or whatever. Because he plays a part in the movie. He says he looks at Billy. He says, your name is, and there was this big pause. Hungry Boy, are you serious? Do you care about this movie enough? Anyway, there's this big pause, right? Everyone ready? And when he says, your name is, I'm going, oh man, he's going to say Captain Marvel. That is going to be so cool. I will like this movie a little bit more because I didn't really like it much, obviously. But I will give it some more love. If I know we had Michael Gray got to say it, right? So I will like this movie to see, at least at some degree. It'll be a weird bias, but if he says, if the next words out of his mouth are Captain Marvel, your name is, I can't do an impression of the guy, but no. He says, your name is Shazam. I wanted to, I was so asking. Again, bear in mind, they were like me and nobody else in the theater because there were like 4 people there that they left before the end. They left right. No, they did. Okay, they were still there at that point. Sitting way away from me because they left and didn't wait for the credits to run. But I said, I'm not going to repeat what I said, but I yelled it loud. I said, F that. Or I yelled bullshit or whatever. I don't know. Ezra Goldstein, shalom, my friend. Good to see you. Oliver Belamonte says, Clobby, will you have a possible poll for you for you to handpick like the best Justice League Unlimited animated show episodes? Actually, I'm going to do I just binge watched both of those. I'm preparing the show. I think I'm going to I might do my top 20 episodes of that series. I think I'm going to do that. Very soon, Oliver. Within the next week or two, couple of weeks or two, I think I'm just going to do a show where I go solo with it and just name and list my favorite episodes. Perhaps maybe by next week. Who knows? Let's see. May have well called him Captain Thunder and be done with it, and justice for Captain Marvel. I'm like, don't. Oh man, screw them, screw you. I'm glad you're not making any more of those because you don't deserve to make Captain Marvel movies. One thing is, at least I like that you worked it in one time, but this is two movies now. This is another thing that's ridiculous about the first movie and the second one. He doesn't really have a name. None of them do. It's asinine. It's not funny either. If they think they're being funny, you're not being funny by not having a name. And so, Darth says, Have you read Mark Drucker's Mad Magazine's masterpieces, The Odd Father and Jaws? Oh, many years ago, yeah. I have a lot of. I never miss those mags, and I love his movie parodies. Mark Drucker was a genius. Love his stuff, yes, sir. I mean, I don't know if I don't think I have those issues anymore, but I know I have some issues somewhere put away, or maybe I don't anymore. Maybe they got lost in one of the floods now. But I mention it, but I love him. Great stuff. Jawed. Was it called Jawed? Was it called Jaws or Jawed? Okay, The Odd Father. I used to love the parody names that he would give to movies. So I remember the Jaws parody. I didn't remember that it was called Jawed. Now that you mention it, and The Odd Father, I think I remember. So great stuff. Yeah, I think this movie could have been so much better if it had more. If it, Jawed was Jaws. Gotcha. Would have had more to do with these characters. Obviously, less silly crap, and for God's sake, he's a joke without a name. It's amazing though. Both these movies, these movies that have a character who's supposed to be Captain Marvel in them, have a nameless superhero because of a lawsuit. He's got they basically just sort of call him by the name of the wizard, which I hate. They've allowed a crucial what is fundamentally the most important thing about this character is that it's a child's fantasy type. It comes into play, like for example, as a kid, you get to say a magic word and turn into basically Superman. The template you get to become just like Superman by saying a magic word. How cool is that, and how difficult is that to get right when that's the basic fundamental tenet of Captain Marvel? And you screwed it up. Both of your movies screwed it up by making Billy a little punk for one thing, and then just not even giving him a name. You didn't even let him have a freaking name, you assholes. Stupid. It's disgraceful. It's absolutely pathetic. And that's why it's tough to take your movie seriously. When by the end of the first movie, he should have had a Gorham name. And then this Philly Fiasco stuff, ugh. Everybody all these superheroes, even the Marvel and the dumb MCU, they have names. They don't use them all that much. But they use them. I mean, I don't get it. Why was it that complicated? And I don't care. You can call him Captain Marvel in the movie. That's proven because they say it. But even if you don't want to call him that, hell, go back like someone like was mentioned. Go to Captain Thunder. That was the one that was going to be. Sucks. It's just a waste. Screw you, DC. I'm glad you don't get to make any, and they don't get to make any more of these either. What's in a name that which we call Captain Marvel, by any other name, which superhero just as sweet. Yep. Yes, indeed. Thank you, JT. Oh, man. So, yeah. Like I say, if you enjoyed the first one, you might think this one's okay. It is relatively entertaining in spots, but it's not very good. And it's the more I knew that the more I thought about it, the more it would piss me off about it. That's just the way I am anyway, in general, when it comes to movies. Not supposed to be thinking too much on them. What's in the name? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I saw that one too. Well, oh yeah, could not be reached for comment yet. More truckers, a legend. Well, that's so much for that. So much for that. That movie is, look, catch it when it comes on streaming or something if you must watch it at all. It is pettiness. That's a good point. Oh well, poor old Captain Marvel. He got a few shots. We're just this is a time that's not going to embrace him. Because even when they modernized, look at those movies. They modernized it. They didn't make them super dark or anything, because I'll give them that. They try to add a family component to it. They tried to bring them into the modern day, and it didn't work out that well, did it? Now the new movie is going to tank because people are tired of these by-the-numbers corporate sludge that passes for superhero movies these days. What? My pal Captain Blackbeard is going to set me up, Cloud. Well, good. Yeah. I hear you. Let's see how this thing's doing now. How many votes we got now? 38 votes. Well, 38 votes. And we've got Superman is way in the lead at 63%. But poor old Captain Marvel way down there, 37. That lead really got out of hand. I'm not shocked or anything. Clobby, what do you think about Shazam film bombing at the box office? Well, I've been pretty much talking about that for a while tonight. I think it's not that surprising, given that it's pretty mediocre. It's pretty much the same as the last movie. Well, in a lot of ways. It doesn't really give you anything particularly innovative or interesting or characters to grab hold to. It's just by the numbers superhero stuff. I mean, it has a decent heart to it. The kids. You would think the kids would be appealing to younger viewers, but apparently not so much. I just don't think anybody cares, and I don't think it probably wasn't even marketed very well. So I think it's what it deserves. It deserves to tank. And even if, like I said, even if I liked it, and I don't, I mean, I'm sort of there about it. Even if I liked it, I'd be laughing, but these people getting, losing. Because they deserve to lose the way they treat these characters. They don't know anything. So I'd have to say that would be my take on that. That's not a good idea. Not a good idea. To take these characters. Like I said, there was a lot of missed opportunities in this movie. That's true. That's a good point. Could not be reached for further comment. Has an interesting point. It says, and there was no hype around it. No hype around it. I was talking to some friends on my comics up today. They didn't even know it was out. That's a very interesting point. Could not be reached. Hey, Mighty Orbots. Good to see you, my friend. Nobody knew it was out there. I only knew about it because a buddy of mine texted me last week. We go to all of the Marvel movies and then some other stuff too when they come out. We go see all those movies together, but mainly comic book related movies. So he gives me a call. And I won't be hearing from him. I won't be hearing from him. I was thinking, although we went to see the Batman together, but usually there's a lot of Marvel or too many DC's coming out movies. So, and it's very painful for him to go to a movie. It's a whole process he has to go to because of his health. When we go out and see, we make a day of it. We go out and eat, and then we go to the movie. And one of these movies, when they open up, in the past, we've seen almost every Marvel movie together. There's been a few we didn't get a chance to see together over the years, but for the most part, we do. And this was one. We did go see the Batman together as well. So I get this text maybe a couple weeks ago. He says, it's not worth the pain for me to go see Shazam. I'll just watch it when it's on cable like I did Black Adam, whatever, that cable or streaming, what have you. I said, okay, dude, if you're sure, I'll come get you if you want. Nah. So I had to go by myself. Like, damn, man. But I did because I had to review it. And I was curious. I mean, it's just... But I don't think I was... I kept forgetting about it. I had to make a reminder on my reminder app because it's just so... Oh, they made that? Really? So they made a remake of... a sequel to that movie. Why? And if guys at a comic shop in today's don't know the movie's out, and it came out Thursday. That's when I went to see it. Guys hanging out at a comic shop don't know a movie about a superhero, a DC movie is out. What the hell does that tell you? Because it wasn't even advertised very well. I like blue over red, but I thought Captain Marvel. There's Captain Marvel Jr. Yeah. I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Will Marvel improve with Victoria Alonso out? By the way, out of the executive, Feige is on thin ice to you, if you ask me. I'm happy to say, by the way, Darth, that you spelled her name incorrectly, and I know because that's how you spell my last name. She has an S in her name, so I'm very pleased that Victoria Alonso doesn't spell her last name the same way I do. But that said, will it improve with Victoria? She's just a cancer that got cut out. So are they going to stick something in there that's better? That's the only way it's going to improve. It's one thing to get rid of it, and you go, yeah, I finally got that bitch out of there. What will replace her? That's the only thing that could tell us. Because if she gets another of her kind, her ilk in there, I see nothing changing. I mean, it's not a great answer, I realize. But I don't think so. She's God, what a loathsome creature. And hey, I hope it does. I don't know, man. Maybe sanity will prevail at some point, but you got to get rid of all of them, though. There's another thing. Look, a lot of you aren't sports geeks. I don't like to use sports analogies, but I have to sometimes. Let's say you get rid of the shitty coach. But usually the shitty coach is the figurehead. But you don't get rid of the general manager. Then the head coach, it's good to change the head coach who's not having a good track record, not having a good season, keeps losing, doesn't get to the playoffs. But you know what? sometimes that's upper management too. They're the ones that keep hiring the dumbasses. So you really got to have a smart general manager who knows how to hire good coaches and good good staff. Otherwise, your team's going to still be crap, and people are going to wonder why you keep hiring the worst crappy staff, the worst crappy coaches. Oh, I mean, look, I don't disagree with Cameron Pasha, as you mentioned there, Mario Brett. He said that's a reason for hope. Okay, but it's just if Kevin Feige continues to be the general manager, that I'm using that analogy as football or sports, then I don't think it's going to matter much. I could be wrong. JT says you're 100% right. You get rid of the coach, but you don't get rid of the GM or the owners. And you can't fire owners. So you're nothing but the Detroit Lions, the Detroit football Lions, he says. And I'm not beating up on your Lions, but, I know what you mean. The Lions are one of the it seems to me, historically worst run teams in sports. Down there with the Cardinals and, there are a lot of really badly run sports organizations. So yeah, they're just like the Lions. Lions aren't even the worst. I mean, until you Al Davis. It's like Al Davis. Until he I hated to say it, but the team can't improve if you have a meddling management or owner. Cleveland Browns are very bad, Darth. That's absolutely right. The Bengals were one of the worst for the longest time. Now they're having some success, but Blunt. Hey, Blunt, Philly Reviews. Good to see you. He says, yes. Prime example, the Philadelphia Flyers. We change coaches every year, and that's been awful for years. They did, however, just fire the GM, so maybe there's hope. Yep, you got to get rid of that GM. You got to get rid of that GM. And the Browns are absolutely terrible. It's again, like I said, I agree with you there. Yeah, replacing poisoned raspberries with poisoned blueberries still won't yield an edible breakfast. That's well said. Yes, the analogy can be taken away from sports, certainly. You get what you pay for there, but you got to have. Well, yeah, I mean, you got to have the right captain. And hey, you got to have that right GM. So if they get rid of what's his face, I mean, look, now again, and someone mentioned Hope. Are we talking about the comics or the movie? I mean, Marvel movies and TV and stuff. That's going to be trash as long as Kevin Feige's there. I've always said he was overrated. Not just me. It's like I know anything. It was a gut feeling. But every time I would hear him talk, okay, I don't know anything. I don't have any inside track or any of that kind of stuff. But I've heard the guy talk, and he knows nothing about comics. Never did. And those movies didn't start. They were better before he started getting more and more control. So, but people think he's some kind of genius. To hell with Kevin Feige. He got them when they were. In fact, he's been running into the ground. If I may burden you with another sports analogy, it's sort of like the coach who inherits a team that's just won 2 Super Bowls, and he takes the team, he takes somebody else's players, and a year or two later, he still got most of that personnel, so he wins a Super Bowl. And after that, they think this guy won a Super Bowl. But eventually, he starts chasing people away, starts screwing things up, starts making. In fact, I think that one he did win, he kind of was fixed. Just kidding, Neil O'Donnell. But eventually, he doesn't last too long because people start saying, but he just lasts way longer than he should have because he started winning with someone else's talent and someone else. I mean, like basically, he slayed the dragon with with someone else's machine gun. Instead of having him a sword, they sent him a machine gun. And he was able to shoot the dragon and just kill it. And everyone thought how great he was when he didn't put the thing together. And the instrument that he used was someone else's. Bill Walsh, Jimmy Johnson, as opposed to Jimmy Johnson handing it down to Barry Switzer. Just movie quote to cover it. You son of a bitch! You moved the cemetery. You moved the cemetery, but you just left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch! You left the bodies, and you only moved the headstones. What was that, Poltergeist? Yeah. If the Detroit Lions were a comic book, it would be Snowflake and Safe Place Part 1. Kevin Feige got the credit that Jon Favreau, James Gunn, and the Russo brothers deserve. That's a very good point, Darth. That's true. And he never had a creative bone in his body. But that happens. Look, this happens so many times. And I mean, people would be astonished if you knew half the truths out there behind things that are created. I mean, the things that we love to watch or read or what have you, our fandoms. If you knew what went on behind the scenes to create some of them and how many of them, how little we know for sure about who really created them and who got the credit. Is that old thing about history's written by the winners. I'm not going to start going into names and stuff. But when it comes, this is a comic show tonight. So when it comes to just comics, for example, certain people who never had a creative bone in their body become well known for being the creator of certain very popular characters. And why? Because they were the editors. In other words, the people with the power, the editors, the boss. And the writers and the artists and the people like that didn't have control over anything. If you control the power, if you have the power of the credit box and the editorial control, you could name yourself the creator of anything, as a certain gentleman has, who has been worshipped like a god for the past 70 years, 60 years, 50 years. You can, and if you make the right deal for yourself, you could be a figurehead in a world, and there will be, most people will worship you, except for the few people that have done the research or who were there, got screwed over by you. I'm not saying anything, any names, but I'm not saying his initials are SL or anything like that. And there will be people who will just herald you as a genius. Hungry Boy, I'm not saying his name at all. You know I'm not saying it, no matter how right you are with that guess. It's who gets away with it. Like in that great movie, L.A. Confidential, which I love the movie, even though Kevin Spacey's in it. Ugh. But Rollo Tomasi, he's the guy that gets away with it. Who knows how many people in life have been screwed over on something they created, and someone else we laud as the creator or inventor of that thing, and we don't know better. We'll never know. We'll never know. Bob Kane only didn't get away with it because his daddy negotiated a deal with some people that got him money, got him paid, and left out his partner and actually major creator Bill Finger. And so the comic book industry has vilified Bob Kane, rightly so, because he deserved it. Yet another guy who did something far worse to far more people is lauded as a demigod who passed just a few years back. If you say the one bad thing about him, you get called all kind of names. He's Santa Claus. This person I'm talking about, who I'm not going to name, whose initials might be SL, who never had a creative bone in his body. If you were to look for a script by this person, you're more likely to find a unicorn. And I don't mean because there's a unicorn in that movie, but anyway. So, and yet there are people to whom this person that I'm not naming, just using him as an example, he's Santa Claus to a lot of 40 and 50, 50-year-old and plus, men who grew up as kids worshiping him, and it spread out into the pop culture. And everyone thinks he did things he didn't do because he didn't do anything to dissuade them of the or to disabuse them of the notion. He didn't. Darth says Sylvester Stallone got screwed to Rocky characters he created, and he's pissed. Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah. John J. Avildsen or whatever. That's why he wasn't in Creed 3. I've heard about that. Sylvester Stallone. And imagine that, a guy that's a big name there. It goes to show you that even a guy of that stature, that Hollywood stature, one of the biggest, arguably one of the most famous people on the planet, Sylvester Stallone, can get screwed over. Think about that for a minute. Because he did. So if Sylvester Stallone can get screwed out of a creation, I mean, boy howdy, can anyone? I mean, who can't? Who couldn't be? It doesn't get much bigger than that. When you're an editor-in-chief, you can edit out other people's versions of what happened. And I'll tell you what, I've been doing a deep dive on a lot of this stuff. Again, Hungry Boy, I'm seeing things about old, because eventually when people pass on, and enough people pass on, things start to come out into the light that were being suppressed, and people start to admit more things. I'm seeing stuff that you would just not believe. Hey, Captain Infinity, I'm seeing something in terms of who created what, who went into, there's so many examples. This has been known for a while, but they're finding so much now where certain examples of, for example, take some Jack Kirby art or even some Steve Ditko or whatever, a lot of Marvel art where words are on the sides, written on the sides of the margins that were supposed to be put in the intended by the original writer for the word balloon, that were, of course, changed. And I've seen comparison by what was put into the comic, what was left off, and how bad the writing is. Because when you go back, when you go back to read some of that, any of that Silver Age Marvel 60 stuff, and I love it, one thing doesn't hold up. The art, especially when it got more and more polished, hold up and is still brilliant. The characters, well, it speaks for themselves that they've generated bazillions of dollars of interest because people love them. The ideas, the concepts all hold up as marvelous, just wonderful. But one thing doesn't hold up. I mean, the stories even hold up, even if they're silly. But the dialogue doesn't hold up. The dialogue is beyond cringy, beyond belief. Some people thrive in certain fields as talents, quote unquote, and others as risers. And whether they have an eye for marketing or some notion of what the customer base is wanting, or they're just good at rubbing. Yeah. Dramatic pause. Shoulders. I see what you did there. I don't want to believe. Sorry, Fox Mulder. And does Irwin Winkler get booted from Hollywood, blacklisted? No, because there's money to be made. So Stallone is out in the cold. Shameful. It's amazing. I mean, not that he's hurting for cash, mind you, but still his creations. So if you're Sylvester Stallone, you can't get satisfaction for creations. Jesus Christ. But so these little guys don't stand a chance against a guy who is the editor, who's the boss. Back then, especially in those days in comics. And I've always done this, but I haven't done it as much as lately. Going back and try to, look at all the people who are fearlessly doing the research. Now, it's not going to do much good. And that's to be said that no one's going to listen because there's only one Facebook group that allows this stuff to be said, and people come after him all the time. And any of these people who are in those Facebook groups who go to other groups to talk about it, and other comics, like historical comic book history groups or historian groups and stuff, they're pretty much ostracized even if you entertain the idea that this person that I won't name was anything less than a saint and a demigod of creativity, then you're a rotten monster and a horrible, evil person, because you're speaking of a person who's no longer with us. Well, but we've all been saying this stuff way, way, way before he passed away. And you wouldn't listen then either, because someone is attacking Santa Claus. Brian Hepburn, what's up, buddy? Captain Finity says, yep, according to legal, the most valuable part of Captain Finity is already the rights to the character. Well, I think you should trademark Captain Finity and beyond. Brian, sounds like you're familiar with it. Yes, there are a lot of torches and pitchforks. People just accept it. They just accept that he is the creator. He who shall not be named. Darcy says, seriously, man, do you think that S. Lee took too much credit? I think you mean took much credit in the creation of what he's credited with. I think he pretty much stole all of his credit. I think, in my opinion, remember, it's an opinion, I wasn't there, based upon something like maybe 40 years of close, or at least 35, 36, of really. I'm not his comic book historian. I'm not saying I am. But as someone who's really, really been just out of interest studying it, maybe I shouldn't use the word study, but fascinated by it and buying everything, a piece of information, every magazine and book and everything I can get my hands on, and reading the accounts of so many, reading the interviews of both him and of Kirby and of Ditko and so many other people who are at odds with him. I cannot conclude anything other than the fact that I believe he's a liar. And by the way, there's so many times when he would lie and then say it's just bad memory, that it's very easy to connect the dots to come up with tons and tons of evidence that he lies so much. He lied so much and that he stole credit. So yes, I do believe he stole far more. I believe that if he allowed himself to be just listed as co-creator, I would have been fine with it. But there are many, many times when he said out, I, me, all the time. When people would say, when someone would even ask him a question, what were you thinking when you created the Hulk or the Fantastic Four, whatever, or Spider-Man? He would answer, and he would never talk about his co-creators. And me just talking about that knocked my listener count down like a chunk. People don't want to hear it. I'm not kidding. It just boom, it dropped. People don't want to hear that. Thank you. Cat Finity says, what's that? But off topic, but Clobby, your I'm here, I'm not here is the essence of fixing the grandfather paradox. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. I don't know what became of me. I think I just was a little over the top the other night there, Cap, but I'm glad everybody had fun with it. So I appreciate you. That episode it just drives me crazy, man. It's just, and like I'm not even as necessarily disagreeable to time travel all the time either, but boy, it's just they existed, but they didn't, but they did, but they didn't, and yet they left that planet with remembering them and remembering something that information that they left with the planet about in terms of what's her face of what's Odo being in love with Kira. Such idolization of that guy coming from a perspective of never reading comics when I was growing up. Parents' rules. The S. Leasy fellow rubbed me the wrong way and was an insult watching interviews. He said, I mean, some of the things he has said, it just made me sick. Well, those eyes and me's it make you think Funky invented TikTok. Well, there are times he said things that have convicted himself many times. But I don't know how I got on that. I try not to do much about the Funky Flashman there, but I guess because we were talking a bit about the whole lawsuit, between Superman and Captain Marvel and what the way national, it was just sleazy business, folks. Comics were and still are sleazy business. We're saying heck no to any story that ends with "I'm here, I'm not here." Indeed, sir. Indeed, sir. But what are you gonna do? Nobody cares. And why should they? He got away with it. It just bugs me. It's an injustice. Look, these people in the early 70s, as early as the early 70s, somewhere around 72, 73, when this newer company, I always forget the exact name of them, that bought Marvel, they bring that Funky Flashman, that SL guy, into the offices and say, they're the ones, why I think it always says Stan Lee Presents on these comics? Because they came up with this idea, with this deal that we need you to keep saying you created everything. We're going to pay you this much money. You're going to sign these contracts. He made a deal he basically agreed to put his name. That's why every comic would say Stan Lee Presents. We all know he moved to California later and he didn't present jack shit. But in order to have someone out there claiming to have created everything, because they were terrified that Kirby, especially, even to an extent, Ditko, were going to have their name all over these things that they could contest creators' rights for it. I mean, that was a real fear for them in the 70s. Marvel. Oh, thanks, D-Bud. Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for being here, man. I'll close the poll right now. And I would have forgotten, too, so I appreciate you, bud. And so it was terrifying for Marvel. Yes, Club is. I squared the circle paradox off. Thanks, Captain. I appreciate that. Anyway, so let's see here. Let us end our poll. All right. Oakley dokley. Hey, Sean Carter, what's up, man? All right. Darth says, my last question of the night. What do you think of Ditko saying that he was screwed by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in the creation of Spider-Man? Well, I've never heard him say that Kirby did it. He and Jack had big disagreements on whether or not they should leave Marvel together, but I don't remember him ever accusing Kirby, because Kirby did do so. In fact, Steve has admitted that Kirby did some preliminary stuff on a very similar character before Steve Ditko got a hold of it and changed a lot of it. So, but I think he's right that Stan Lee certainly did. Jack I'll tell you this, Jack was in no position to screw anybody, because that's why you think he left Marvel. He got out of Dodge. So I do know that Jack has talked about how he created Spider-Man, but then the character got taken and changed by Lee, but not really Lee, Ditko. And it became pretty much solely Ditko's character. But the initial idea, even the name and stuff, is believed to be. A lot of people said that it was Kirby. I think even Ditko said that at some point. So I'm not so sure. I've never heard him say that Jack screwed him over, but boy, howdy did Stan Lee screw him over big time. And here's our poll. Our poll for the night, folks. The question was, which costume do you prefer, Superman or Captain Marvel? The Big Red S, Superman, gets it by 64%. And the Big Red Cheese only came away with 35%. Well, I love them both, but if I'd have had a chance to vote, oh wait, look who's here. Let yourself in. Hey, folks.
Sorry, sneaking in at the very end. I've been lurking all night, listening to pick on Santa Claus.
I had to pick on Santa Claus.
Yeah, I had a project due for tomorrow, so I just finished.
I got you. I understand. It's good to see you. Thanks for popping in.
I figured getting out of here, but I've voted for Superman's costume.
Did you? Yeah, I don't get a vote, but I would vote for Superman. Much as I love
costume,
Cap,
I think. Yeah.
It's the gold standard, even though it's not gold. But Brian says it would have been interesting to see a work for hire outcome with someone as prolific as Kirby. Yep. Hey, look, they were terrified of him in the 70s. That's why you see Stan Lee Presents on everything. They made a deal with him. But
that was Justice Ginsburg too mentioned towards the end of her career that she was considering taking up the family's case, the Kirby case. And guess what?
Oh yeah, much later.
Surprise!
That's what scared him.
Yeah, we better reach a financial settlement here before, because they wouldn't have lost all the characters, but they could have lost percentages of the characters, which would have been huge. Say the Kirby family got 25% of everything that Jack created. I'm just throwing out a number.
Yeah,
that's a massive.
It's unreal.
Massive,
unreal money. So, and it's good that at least they get something out of it. But yes, there were all these comics with his names all over them.
Yep.
And that they were building a pretty good case, and but then this company, they were pretty smart, I guess. They came and said, "Look, Stan, you got to say you created it all, and we'll back you up, and we're going to pay you this much." And until they fired him many years later, in the 90s, for a short time. But yeah.
I thought he created everything. I mean, until I started reading more, and
we all did. Everybody
and then I started getting. I'm like, it just sounds like he did too much. I'm like, not that Stan obviously deserves credit, and he was a great, promoter of Marvel, which maybe the company wouldn't have made without him. But it's just like, God, I'm like, this guy did everything. Did he ever sleep? Like,
yeah. Well, he got plenty of sleep because he showed. I mean, it was well known that he was in the office like 3 days a week.
Yeah. But see, he had a great personality, fantastic, voice and shtick, and I mean, he'd have a bazillion subs on YouTube. If he started doing podcasting or
Stan
YouTube.
Lee's. Welcome to
Yeah.
Stan Lee's YouTube channel. Yeah. I remember when I created everything. I created YouTube. I said, wouldn't it be great if you could go on the computer and put your own videos on there?
Well, that was Jennifer Lawrence who came up with that, I think, though. You got to remember.
Zachariah, what's up there, buddy? Yes, that's true. He says, I think Steve Ditko was bitter with his treatment at Marvel. Oh, and that's an understatement, my friend. Yes. He hated him. I mean, he got so sick of it, he didn't even want anything to do with Spider-Man. He didn't care about the money. I mean, he would not pursue it. Now, of course, his heirs are. But Ditko didn't give a shit about it. He was just like, whatever.
He was an interesting character.
Boy, was he something. He was a Randian objectivist.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you read his letters to people and, just I don't care about that. That was in the past. I'm paraphrasing, but some stuff I just read the other day, about Ditko. It was just could care less, Heck, if I created Spider-Man or half of Spider-Man, I'd be walking around everywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, I created Spider-Man. Have a free cup of coffee,
I
wouldn't stop.
That like that Blue Beetle cartoon and you saw that one, right, where they had a lot of jokes about him in that with Ditko, because he created the Question and Blue Beetle and Captain Atom and everybody on that show he created. But they had the Question, used to spout off his philosophy and stuff. And they threw some funny jokes about Ditko in there that were like objectivists. That was a fun cartoon, by the way.
No, it was great. Yeah. It was a high level cartoon. Yeah. There's a lot to read into, as they say. In that cartoon. Yeah.
That was great. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. So what's going on, dude? What you got going on?
Not much. I just had a Batman video I did of the 1940 Corgi Batmobile.
Nice.
A video short. So not got a lot of views, which was
everyone
good.
Go to Mark's channel and go check out Mark's channel with the new video short.
Yeah, they put that link in there for that
shorts.
It's a cool Batmobile. You've seen it before. I did the long form on all the Batmobiles that I have. The 40s one, yeah, I like that one with the wing and the vertical.
I think I have. Is that the one I have also, or no?
You might have that one. I can't remember now. Yeah, but
it's
a fun looking car. Yeah,
please go to check out Mark's short videos. But yeah, that. What was I gonna say? I can't remember what it was now. But yeah, I love Batmobiles. We did it's almost to the point you could not even count how many Batmobiles there are. I know one time, a few years back, one of the first shows I did on Loki's channel was we were talking about the history of the Batmobiles. Like, this is going to take too long.
I mean, you could do eras and pick a few from each era, but I mean, then also you got like the animated films, cartoons to contend with too, not just the comic books and movies. Of course, the Serial famously didn't have a Batmobile in it. They had the car, and then I think when Batman used it, it was a convertible, right? Or what was it when he used it? It was a convertible, and then something like that in the Serial.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love some Batmobiles.
I'll show a picture of it. Just no volume, so we'll be safe. But let's see. Because it's pretty cool looking. Yeah.
I don't trust these pictures anymore for anything now. They dinged me again on that. Again for the second time. I got it. Yeah, I've lost. I'm demonetized. Cool.
We got to take that out.
I love that one.
Play. There we go.
Very cool.
I didn't dust it enough, though. I'm seeing some dust. I did dust it, but Raquel is going to get me if she sees this.
That's a big ass one too. It's big.
Yeah, but it's a 1940, so there's a lot of dust.
I have a different one, but that's cool. I love that. That's a great car.
Yeah, and that's a, bat. You can just picture Batman driving down the street with that.
Bob Kane did not design that.
Nope, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well,
was that the first? Well, that couldn't have been the first one, right? I wonder what the first Batmobile was.
I don't know about the first, but it's early.
That's an early one, yeah. So,
yeah, cool stuff. Love it. Great. Now, see, yeah, mine's I have a different one. But it's a big, and it's a bigger one too. It's a big, like a die cat, a metal one, very heavy one. So
Okay.
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's just such a great concept, right? You know, thankfully Batman didn't have superpowers, right? He needed a car to get places. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It took Corgi to try to sell a vehicle for Superman, right? Was that the first Superman mobile or in comics,
Yeah.
I guess, or
Yeah.
that cool one? Yeah. I still have to
That
buy
was a
that
Corgi.
toy.
That was a corgi.
Yep.
I got
gotta
that
get that toy.
that new one. That's pretty cool. That superpower. That's the best thing about that whole
Superpowers.
line.
I gotta get that one before it sells out. Yeah. Keep waiting to see if the price
It'll be
goes
cheap
down.
soon. You think it would be cheap? I think it did go
It
down a little,
hasn't for a while,
maybe.
right?
There are tons of them sitting at one of the WalMarts I went to not too long ago.
But
Haven't
it's
made
the same
anything
price though, right? Same price though, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
back
it's
then,
not like a discount.
I'd
Yeah.
have to check, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
back then, yeah. Dang it!
Oh, they're
Oh,
saying
my
the
dear.
first Batmobile was Detective Comics number 48, 1941. There you go. The bat plane was in Detective 31. So actually, before, and Batman drives a red car in Detective 27.
Yes.
So
Red car.
Interesting. Yep.
And then eventually, Bill Finger said he should have a Batmobile.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
That's Bill Finger, right? Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Oh man! Well, I'll tell you what, everybody. I really appreciate you hanging out with me tonight, especially since I didn't do anything. I just sit around here and prattled, and I apologize for that. But I'm glad you hung out with me and spent your night with me. It was fantastic, you guys. I greatly appreciate it. Let's see, do some show notes again because there's a lot to cover. At 4 p.m. Central and 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, I'm going to be a guest on the great J-Man's channel. My good buddy J-Man and Sean and I were going to talk Shazam #1 from 1973. We're going to review that, and then we're going to talk some basic Captain Marvel because I'm looking forward to that. And then what else? Oh, after that, I'll be on with thanks, Hungry Boy. Appreciate you, buddy. I'm going to be on with on Midnight's Edge After Dark, as I am every Tuesday and Thursday nights. With hey, Dad, man, what's up, buddy? And Grim, hey there, good to see you. Tom and the gang, Midnight's Edge After Dark, Tuesdays and Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and then of course, I'm honored to be on my good buddy Nick Weiser's channel tomorrow night for Toxic Tuesday, one of my all-time favorite movies, 48 Hours. I'm gonna have to control myself because I can. I'll take any challenge on that movie. I'll quote it backwards and forwards and up and down.
So I don't have to do the slideshow. You can just quote the whole movie
just
for
do
me.
it. Don't worry about it. You don't have to put the closed captions or anything. And you think I'm kidding? I'm that bad. So, where we're okay. And again, Wednesday night, round table, 7 p.m. Central. Of course, the Loki's round table gang. Looking forward to that. Then there's my show. I'll be back here, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, Wednesday night, and then 9 p.m. Central Standard Time again Thursday night for the Clubhouse with Raquel and Mark. Friday nights, it's the great Nick Weiser. It's 8:30 Friday night comic shop show with the gang. Although this week I don't think there is one. I think that we're skipping a week. But then Saturday night Star Trek, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're finishing up Season 5 of Deep Space Nine. 2 episodes reviewed, then an overview of the season. There will be spreadsheets.
Yes, there will be spreadsheets for sure.
I'm sure there will
start
be
working
spreadsheets.
on those. Yeah, analytics and all kinds of good stuff. Yep.
Yes, 48 hours is toxic. Shocker.
Well, today it's toxic for sure.
It was toxic even then, man. It was. I guess, but it was. Well, no, because if you had a sense of humor, you could survive it back then. I love that movie.
Oh, we got a question.
Who deserves the credit for the creation of Spider-Man? In my opinion, it's for the way he all turned out. Pretty much Ditko. Although, like I said, Kirby came up with some of the basic. I mean, even like arguably the name and some basics of him, and he worked on the character for something else before. There are thoughts that Kirby, there are some assertions he's made that he did create a lot more of that character, but what came out, what was the final product, in my opinion, not only is it Steve Ditko, I've heard even Stan Lee said, in my opinion, Steve Ditko definitely created Spider-Man. And he said that on a show. I'll hearken to you like this, Darth Scipio. If you could find, and it was on YouTube now, on YouTube, there's a fascinating documentary from 2007 called In Search of Steve Ditko, made by Jonathan Ross. It's great. He interviews people like, not only he interviews Stan Lee, he interviews Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman and people like that, and he even goes and visits Ditko, but you don't get to interview Ditko, of course. It's very entertaining. In Search of Steve Ditko, probably still on YouTube.
I got it here. I'm gonna post it. Yep.
You will see. Oh, cool. You will see Stan Lee himself pretty much fumbling around and admitting to a lot of things that basically we found out later that his lawyer was supposed to show up for that interview, and his lawyer got stuck in traffic, and Stan said some things that he maybe shouldn't have said, according to his lawyer. So, yeah. Way it goes sometimes. Brian says, want some crinkle cut fries with Tony Chachere's original Creole seasoning and barbecue ranch dip. I would second that motion. I do want some as well.
Gotta go to bed soon. God.
I had me some. I had me some McDonald's fries today because we were out on the road. I was desperate, and they forgot to put salt on them. McDonald's fries without salt, that's
I hate that. Oh, yeah, that's...
Remember when they do that? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, I hate that. I always ask for salt packets now, even though I know I shouldn't be eating fries. Yes,
no, I know, but you got to have the salt, man.
You got to have the salt. If you're going to have the fries, you must have the salt anyway, right? So I always ask for salt because sometimes I forget the salt.
So good, usually.
Maybe you're getting the bottom where there's no salt, or I don't know what happened.
And these were hot.
It's the worst.
Fries that would have been good, but they were not salt. And I must have been damn hungry because, see, sometimes when I go on the road, I don't get a chance to stop because of the gentleman I'm with. They never want to stop anywhere. And we went through,
Clobberin times, do we lose you? I don't know. Can everyone still hear me? 5 by 5, I hope, but I don't know where Mike went. All of a sudden, I lost him. Yep, I think we did lose him. Uh-oh. I stopped talking because I assumed I wanted to hear about the French fries, but hopefully he'll be back. It was his interwebs are down, I guess. Yep. I'll check the messenger to see what he says. But yeah, McDonald's fries without salt. Yeah, that's a travesty. And I think I don't know what we're not going to do another poll. Wait for Mike to get back. I know who's gonna. Oh, we totally lost him. Oh no. But yeah, McDonald's fries are the best, I think, too, right? What do you guys think? There's nothing like McDonald's fries anywhere else. I mean, just you go to Burger King. I'm going to get in trouble. We're going to lose sponsorships for Clobberin Times channel, but yeah, I think that's the best. Yeah. So as a kid, it was like if we went anywhere on a trip, that was our big treat. If you got fries and you got a chocolate milkshake. He had to be small though. Mom and Dad would never let us get a large shake. So, but his internet is down. So I'll vamp for a few minutes, or let me see if I can type a message at the same time. Yep. So let me yep. Let me ask him if he wants me to should I shut down the show?
God.
All right, God darn it.
God, mother.
It wasn't me. I didn't pull a coup.
Crap. Sorry about that, everybody. It can't even let me close the show in peace. It's got to pull that kind of crap. It was just an internet flicker, and the internet went down for a second.
I'm glad you're back.
Yep. Basically, I existed, but I didn't but I exist. Hey, Jill.
Hey, Joe.
I existed, but I didn't. But now I exist, but I don't. But I didn't exist. Jill exists, and Clapped Infinity exists, but I don't think I existed there for a while there. So, if someone didn't exist, can you remember them?
I don't know.
Because they existed, right? For 200 years, they existed. There were 8,000 of them. Then they didn't exist because they didn't go back and make and create them.
But wouldn't they have still existed though? Wouldn't they have still existed though? Because one,
they remember them, but they didn't.
Cisco,
how could they not? If they didn't go back to create them, how can they exist?
Yeah, it's a paradox. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why the alternative timeline,
and not.
Although I hate the Marvel theory, kind of works better in the movies.
Yeah, but here's. Yeah, but let's go Doctor Who for a minute. All right. And I was thinking about this. I probably should have mentioned this Saturday night. Doctor Who is a fantasy, so it gets a little more leeway with their time paradoxes and stuff. Nevertheless, this makes sense from a fantasy standpoint. In Doctor Who, remember when he meets one of his future selves, and then at the end, this has happened on when he's met himself. Every time he gets sent back and everything gets set right, he can't retain it. This is even at the end of the Day of the Doctor, when he says, "I won't remember this, will I?" No, you can't. The timelines fall back in the film. You can't retain it. So, even in the fantasy realm of Doctor Who, the Doctor can't remember all that stuff he did in the future. I mean, the past Doctor doesn't remember that he was hanging out with the other Doctors until he meets them again later, of course. So, Clyde was just doing. But yeah, I'm sorry, I existed too much. You cannot have Schrodinger Mallingal timeline nonsense. So, what I'm saying is, since these people. Doctor Who started the Great Fire of London, closed loop. But since these people didn't exist, they should not. Their memory of them shouldn't exist.
Yeah, because it never happened, right?
Never happened.
Never happened at all. Yeah.
Bottom line.
Well, that was the crazy thing about that show, because at first you think they time traveled, but they didn't. They never time traveled. They're always in the present time. They just by missing that anomaly when they left, and they were forewarned about it by their ancestors that the group of them in the future would go back 200 years and create everything. So they
never time traveled.
Yeah, they never time traveled in that. There's actually no time travel in that episode.
There's no time travel in the episode, but these people exist, but they didn't. But now they leave there knowing of their existence.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have any memory of that.
But you never have, I exist, I don't exist, I can't have it. Exactly. So it makes me want to. All right, look.
We're going to go loopy here.
I understand that, hey, Captain James C. Skywalker. I do understand that you're making a TV show. You have only so much time. Someone brings you a script like that, and you got to do something with it. And they say, film this. I can imagine director, people like to going, but wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Oh, screw off, just direct the bloody thing. yeah, but I mean, what about this? Shut up, make it. Even the actors might be going, this is kind of. Maybe they all thought they were making high art and they thought it was brilliant. I don't know.
Well, the reason for that episode was that, and I've read the block text, was to get Ship, Oda, and Kira together. That was basically the premise.
They could have found a lot of other better ways to do it than that.
Yeah. So it was a ridiculous. I mean, the idea. I mean, there's interesting things to talk about in terms of take out the time travel part. What do you do? The old fashioned moral dilemma. Do you? It's the same. It's Kirk's dilemma, with Edith Keeler. Do you save Edith or do you let her die? And even in the block text, the guy says, Ron Moore feels he can address it. Why, address it. It tells the audience how deeply this man can love. He can love to the point that he will sacrifice an entire world for a woman. That's the opposite of James Kirk. If you want to look at those in those terms, he points out, referring to the Kirk-Doom relationship with Edith Keeler. So in this sense, Odo's behavior serves to show the audience that not all Star Trek leads are cut from the same cloth. Perhaps a more realist than a romantic, Bear saw Odo's behavior as the only way to give the story some ballast. So
your Muslim uncle, what's up, buddy? Your Muslim uncle, hey. So,
and our Renee didn't like the story either. I can't say his name, even though he's Swiss. Which is horrible.
He didn't like it.
Auberginois, yep. Yeah, so he didn't like it either. Yeah, so he allows an entire civilization to just disappear in a blink. He could rationalize that because of his love, but it's a big thing. It's tricky. I'm still not sure about it, or about what kind of message it sends to the audience. And that's what the paragraph I read about Ron Moore. But it's just you want to have that moral dilemma or ship characters together, but just the time travel part of it. That's why the Guardian was so brilliant, because they go back and McCoy changes time, and they go back and fix it, but there's nothing not to remember. I guess they would remember that. I guess Kirk remembered what happened, and everyone on the landing party. And I think they had a line that explained it because they were under the influence of the Guardian and that on the planet.
The Guardian said it was fixed.
And it was fixed, right? Yeah, time has been healed now. That famous line then. And hail, shalom, Ezra Goldstein. Sorry.
If only someone was about to do a CD on the edge of forever tomorrow, Jill. Is someone doing that? Yeah. Are you doing that one, Jill? Oh, well, anyway, let's go. We've set our show notes and everything. You did, right? You know what's going on. So
I'm all good. Yep.
Let's all say some our goodbyes to our fantastic wrenches and stuff. We'll say goodbyes to everyone. The great Eric K., the Bronze Wrencher, and the Puppy Dog, and Chris Persia, the Vindicator Wrench of the North. Hope you feel better, buddy. Vindicator Wrench of the North, and D. Bud Martin, thank you, buddy. Wrench of Iron. Lord Thoth, it was good to see you pop in, man. I hope you and the wonderful Mrs. Lady Thoth are doing well. And Avon lives. Long live the Legion, my brother, and hail to the little puppy dog. I can't wait to hang out with my buddy from Earth B tomorrow night, J-Man the Wrench Without Fear. Can't wait. And hungry boy, buddy, thank you for being here tonight, pal. Appreciate you so much. Master of the Clobberin and fantastic artist supreme, painter of the cover of Science Fiction Tales by R.M. Briggs. Steve, I don't think Callow was here tonight, but shout out to the great Super Wrench, Maddie's daddy, who had to run, but Wheeler of Wrench Mjolnir, and of course, Fanty outside. I don't know if Fanty was here, but shout out to Fanty. Either way, and let's see. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. Captain Finity, thanks for being here, buddy. Wonderful Jill, good to see you, Jill. Thank you. Sean Carter, good to see you. Your Muslim uncle, thanks for stopping in, buddy. Grim, good to see you. So pleased to see you here. Thank you so much. Ezra Goldstein, shalom. Could not be reached for further comment. Thank you for being here with us. What is this? No one knows. What's that he wrote? No one knows George Bailey in the alternate reality. He never. No one knows George Bailey. Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter. You're nothing but a warped, frustrated, you're like a scurvy little spider, Mr. Potter. Let's see here. Captain James C. Skywalker, Brian Hepburn, could not be reached for further comment. Dad man walking in the Dad man clan. Let's see here. I'm gonna get them all. What the hell? Let's get them all tonight. Gotta catch them all. Yeah. Gotta catch them all. Zachariah. Thank you, buddy, for being here. Darth Scipio, good to see you again. Let's see here. Who else? The great JT Kirk, buddy. Going backwards here, so give me a second, everybody. We're going to get everybody. Blunt Philly Reviews. Dave. there getting you all, I promise. Wow, what's wrong with no way. Is that already did? Won't go back any farther. Oh, that's because I just jumped back in. I can't get everybody, folks, because my chat only goes back to the point where I jumped back in.
You jump back
That's
in,
all
right?
right.
Yeah.
Well, but you all know I
People
love
won't
you.
mind. Yeah, we
Don't
can't
worry
time
about it.
travel tonight.
Nah,
All
you
the way
all
to
know
the
I love you.
beginning.
Yeah. Anyway, love you all. Thank you. If I miss anyone, just because I don't have it, the chat's not available for me. But appreciate you. Thanks for voting in the poll as well. That was too cool of you. Oh. So, yeah. Apollome's minion just popped in. What the? Hey
Yeah,
there.
Polly's minion.
What's you can't just have Apollo here without showing the puppy doggy.
Yeah.
Pupperoni. So, all right, everybody. DVB, thank you for stopping by. Good to see you. Anyone else out there who lurked, thank you for lurking. And anyone watching this later on a download or a rerun, I appreciate you so much for doing that. You are too kind. Hell yeah. Appreciate you. So, have a wonderful week, my friends. Come hang out with me all week long on the YouTubes. At what do I do? Okay, here we go. Sorry, not organized as you all know. Good night, everybody.
It's Clobberin time.
It is green. No bloody A, B, C, or D.
Get those nerds! 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 What? I just love Clobberin time.